What's up, guys? I'm Yakfish Chris, and I'm here to tell you what you need to be legal on the water for a kayak bass fishing tournament. Here we go. So a lot of people will give you different tips and starting, rules to how to get involved in a kayak bass fishing tournament. And it's a lot simpler than people make it seem nowadays. So nowadays there's plenty of ways to get involved with the kayak bass fishing tournament. Online, in person, through TourneyX, through iCatch, through whatever app is out there now. There's so many different ways to join a tournament, fish a tournament, and be successful. I'm here to tell you a few things that you need that are absolutely necessary to be ready for a kayak bass fishing tournament. So let's go over a few of those things that, I might not have known right away when I was starting to fish tournaments. Here we go. A lot of people will start with the hog trough as being one of the most important items you need for a kayak fishing tournament, but in reality it's this. Your life vest. All right, here we go. We're gonna put it on so we can talk about what's important about a life vest. Ready? 3, 2. All right, now it's on. We can talk about it even a little bit easier. So the most important thing I think for a kayak fishing tournament is your life vest. It's what makes you legal. It's what keeps you safe on the water. It makes sure you get back in to the ramp at the end of the day. Your life vest needs to be on during all kayak bass tournaments that I've ever been involved in. It needs to be zipped up, clipped, whatever. You need to have one around your neck or your waist if they allow the inflatable waistband, which is stupid anyway, but that's another video. The inflatable types, this type, class 3 type or whatever it is, as long as it's Coast Guard approved, you can wear it. As long as it keeps you afloat, wear it. That's the biggest thing, in my opinion, for a kayak bass fishing tournament, a PFD. Personal flotation device. Now there are other things associated with your PFD that are also make you legal for the tournament, as well as Coast Guard and usually local ordinance legal as well. And the first of those being your whistle. Your whistle is really important because this is your signifier if you do get in trouble. If you're all alone and you're pretty far away from people, they should be able to hear this. If they can't hear this, then that means you have a defective whistle, and I don't think there's many defective whistles out there. I went over what kind of whistle I use and all that mumbo jumbo in another video. You can find it. Whatever. But yeah, that's another important piece to being tournament legal is your whistle. So your PFD, your whistle, and then a place to keep your phone is what I find important. Your phone is another important tool while you're on the water because that's how you upload your fish, keep track of your scoreboard, things like that. So, mine goes right in this pocket right here. So we're good. I'm almost there to being ready to fish a kayak bass fishing tournament. Let's go to the next piece that you'll need. So the next piece that you'll need is a hog trough or a yak gear, yak stick measuring device. Or a catch board. You need a tournament approved measuring device. I just happen to have a plethora of hog troughs. This one is from Fishing Online. There are some specific things you need to do with something like a hog trough or even the yak gear, yak stick to make sure that you are tournament legal, and that would be to line the lines with black Sharpie. You can see that they're lined really nicely. The cool thing about those Fishing Online boards is they come pre-lined, so you don't have to do it. So if you don't have a steady hand, like majority of the people, then you don't have to worry about lining your board. The other thing it comes with is these foam dowels, so it floats, because hog troughs don't float. I'm sure many of the people watching this video have had an instance where that hog trough slides off the edge of their boat and sinks to the bottom of the Susquehanna while you have a 21-inch smallmouth in your hand, and then you have a bull shad hooked in your... That's from a past video. You can find it. But yeah, that happened to me. It broke, it sank. What are you gonna do? I always carry 2 of these with me on the water, so that way, in case one does break, I'm ready to go. So yeah, a lined hog trough. The catch board, people do different things with that. They use different paints and things like that. And then the yak gear, yak stick. I don't know if they're pre-lined or not, but regardless, you need to make sure those lines are visible. So that way, when the sun's shining down on it or there's a glare, the judges can clearly see where your fish is hitting. So yeah, a lined hog trough. is my preferred measuring device. I do want to try a catch board this year though. I've heard some hit or miss things about them, but I'm ready to see how much of a hit that thing is. Another tool that I use with my hog trough is a tourney tag. It's very helpful on the water, especially, you know, on windy days. Kayak bass fishing tournaments will have an identifier. That identifier can be anything from 4 letters to an elaborate card that they give you at the national championship that signifies you made it to day 1, day 2, or day 3, which you just saw last week at the national championship. So yeah, I use a tourney tag to hold my identifier. This tourney tag was from the Ike Foundation tournament back in June. They gave you one with their entry fee. That was pretty cool. I have a bunch of them. I have one on each of my boards, and then I have 2 extras just in case. And what's neat is they link up so you can have multiple identifiers on your board at one time. The other neat thing is they don't need to be on your board. You can slide it on your hand. It's easy to do. But I think it's really helpful to keeping track of your identifier while you're on the water. That's a good tool, especially as a beginner. It's a cheap tool to help you measure your fish more easily and more accurately, so that way all your fish are being judged properly. So yeah, a lined hog trough, just like so, or catch board or yak stick, and a tourney tag. That would be, you know, your next big tool that you would need to be ready for a kayak bass fishing tournament. There's one more piece of safety equipment that's often overlooked that is truly, truly important to not only your safety, but to you being legal for a tournament. Here it is. Okay, this is the Yak Attack VisiCarbon Pro. What it is, very simple. It is a light attached to a flag, attached to a pole that goes on your kayak. I would say that 99.9% of the rule books that you will see have you needing a flag and a light on your kayak to be tournament legal. This by far is the industry standard. Everybody's got one of these, it seems like. So I highly suggest checking out the Yak Attack VisiCarbon Pro or just the VisiPole, because you need this to be safe on the water. Sometimes you're launching before the sun comes up. You're a pretty tiny boat. A lot of those bass boats out on the bigger lakes aren't going to pay attention to you if you don't have a light. If you have some kind of light, then they're going to realize that you're there. They're going to slow up. They're not going to wake you. And, you know, they're really not going to bother you that much early on in the day. When you start catching fish, that's another story. But yeah, a VisiCarbon Pro, some kind of 360 directional light and a flag to make sure not only you are Coast Guard legal, but safe on the water so you get back to the ramp once again. A lot of the rules that they make you do, safety-wise, are for your own safety. It's not just them trying to be a pain in the butts or them trying to cover their butts for insurance. That's part of it for sure, but they just want you to get back alive. They want you to enjoy yourself. They want you to have fun. They want you to possibly win some money, but they want you to get back to that ramp alive. That's the biggest thing. They want you to live to fish another tournament day. So make sure you're wearing your PFD. Make sure you got a flag on, because those are 2 really important safety things for fishing kayak tournaments. I didn't mention the obvious stuff, but there's a few things that you need outside of the small peripherals that are pretty obvious for a kayak bass fishing tournament. You need a kayak. You need a approved kayak. There are many things that are not approved kayaks, but there are a lot more things that are approved kayaks. So make sure you read the rules and see if your vessel is legal to fish that tournament. You know, if you have a 21-foot aluminum canoe, I doubt that's really legal. But if you have the new Blue Sky Boat Works, it's been approved. It's a fishable kayak boat thing now. So make sure you read the rules. Yeah, you're gonna need a kayak for sure, which means you're gonna need a paddle. And then to fish in a fishing tournament, you're gonna need, hold on, ready, wait for it. You're gonna need a fishing rod, or a dozen, or 22, or me, I bring 9. I bring 9 with me. 3 spinning, 6 casting. That's where I'm at right now. It'll probably end up being like 10 at the end of the year because I love fishing gear. Regardless, yeah, so you're gonna need some fishing rods. But But that's, you know, that's obvious stuff. You should know that if you're already expecting to fish a fishing tournament, you should know that you need a rod. You should know that you need, you know, a reel with line on it and some lures. But that's obvious. It should be, at least. I hope it is. One of the other items that you're definitely gonna need, I mentioned this earlier while I was going over what you need for your vest, and the other tool that you're gonna need for a tournament is a cell phone. You know, you want a decent phone that you can take decent pictures on that also has a decent signal everywhere you're at. Because this phone actually is not only your lifeline on the water, but it's the way you submit fish, it's the way you capture your fish lengths, and it's the way you try and win a tournament. It's the only way that kayak trails are doing it now is usually a mobile submission through an app or through a website, or even collecting the photos at the end of the day, but it's just easiest on your cell phone now. Everyone's got great cameras in their pockets now. Everyone's rocking a Samsung Galaxy or an iPhone. If you're not, you should probably think about upgrading to a phone with a better camera. You know, if you're still rocking a flip phone and you want to get into kayak bass tournaments, it's not going to work that well. So you should really think about upgrading to something like this to make sure you're successful on the water. But yeah, it's another way to communicate with the outside world in case you do get in trouble as well. I personally right now have the iPhone 8 Plus. The camera's great. It hasn't failed me. I have AT&T as my service. I've been everywhere in the country and I haven't really dropped a signal. Kentucky Lake, it was spotty in some spots, but most of the time as soon as I got off the lake, I was good to go and I could upload whatever I needed, or I could look at whatever I needed. So yeah, there's, you know, big props to AT&T for having a bunch of towers, I guess. But yeah, I put a life-proof case on it. It says it's waterproof, but that's just to be sure. Plus it's a good way for me to hook, you know, something like a tether up to my phone, because if you drop this in the water and it sinks to the bottom, there's no way for you to submit fish. So RIP to all the cell phones out there that have gone overboard during kayak fishing tournaments. So yeah, there's another tool that you need to get going in kayak bass fishing tournaments. Those are the things you're gonna need to get started in a kayak bass fishing tournament and be legal and be set and ready to go and catch fish, win money, and live out all the fame and glory that comes along with kayak bass fishing, because that's what we're all after, right? Hopefully inspire you to get out there and compete, because there's something about being competitive that's like pretty freaking awesome. But yeah, so yeah, those are the things you need. You definitely need a PFD, you definitely need a whistle, you definitely need a cell phone because everything is through an app now. You need a flag with a light, and you need a hog trough to actually measure the fish that you catch. So thanks for watching, thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you guys on the water.